Thanks so much for joining us today for today's webinar, Review Under the Hood, where we'll be covering the 3 S's of Review, Stamps, Sets, and Studio. This webinar is being presented by Orangeblade Consultants. Orangeblade Consultants, a Platinum Bluebeam partner and authorized Autodesk consultancy, has been helping clients go paperless since 2006. With experts in electronic plan review, cloud-based project collaboration, and software deployment, they're dedicated to seeing their clients succeed, project after project, year after year. During this session, everyone will be on mute, but if you have questions, you can type them into the GoToMeetings question box. The session will be recorded, so you will be able to review this information at a later date. Moderating today's session is John Magyar of Orangeblade Consultants, and Joel Marquez will be your presenter. He is also of Orangeblade Consultants. So with that, I'll let Joel take it away.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Under the Hood series. This is a special series that we are providing as a brief look into those under the hood features of Bluebeam Review. We want to explore some things in the program today that aren't immediately obvious, either how to use them or even that they're there at all. And so to that end, we would like to present those 3 features that really have nothing in common at all, except they all begin with the letter S. So as Mark mentioned, we're going to look at Stamps, Sets, and Studio. But we're going to do it in less than half an hour. And through the magic of live webinar technology, we're going to figure out how to connect all of those 3 ideas together. Now, one of the things we might run into is possibility that I might drop out. We've been having a little bit of connecting issues with the webinar. So if that happens, I'm just going to call right back in and see if I can get back on board. So now, of course, really diving into these 3 features and showing you all the details in half an hour is absolutely impossible. But if we can get you to see that there's more to Bluebeam Review than just opening up PDFs and adding markups, then we're going to be really happy. So as always, my colleague John will be monitoring questions in the question box. So please feel free to ask your questions in there, and I will address them in the Q&A if it's of general interest. Otherwise, John is just going to jump in there and answer them himself. Okay, so let's just jump right in here. And I'm going to get out of my slide here. And this is actually Bluebeam Review that we're looking at. And what we're going to look at first is Stamps. And I've got a document open here that I'm going to open. That is a document set. And it's a pretty big document set. Well, it's kind of medium-sized. This is 35 pages. I'm sure that many of you that use construction document sets can have as many as hundreds or maybe even thousands of pages in your document set. But what we want to look at here in this document is how we would want to apply our own custom stamp into this for approval purposes. Now, if we look here on the title block, I'm just going to zoom in here. And I'm going to get to the seal area in the title block. And now this is where we want to apply our customized seal. So when you install Bluebeam Review, it gives you a customized set of stamps. Up here at the very top, we see the command bars, what Bluebeam calls it. So if we click along these tabs, we'll find buttons that are revealed when we click on them. So I'll click on Markup, and then I get to this button right here called Stamps. So I'm going to click on Stamp, and there's my list of stamps that come pre-installed into the program. Now, if I want to show my approval for this, I can just get this generic stamp over here. I'll click on it, and now I get this loaded stamp icon, and if I just click in the middle here, I get my approved stamp. But that's pretty generic, and it's not really, it doesn't really give us a whole lot of detail. What we'd really like to do is see our own logo and maybe the time and date that it's approved. So let me just get rid of this. I'll just right-click and delete. And now I'm going to choose something a little bit more detailed. I'll click on this seal option here. And then I'll just click and drag, and that gives me the constraints of where the stamp will be placed into. Now you can see as I apply the stamp that it says seal of approval. We could probably just put a logo there or something. And it has a date, and this is today's date. Now the program is actually using something called dynamic text. And dynamic text means that it's going to apply the current date when you apply the stamp. But even here, we have a little bit more customization, but it's not really, it doesn't really fit our purposes. So let me get rid of this. And now we're going to go create a new stamp. So I'm going to go up here again to the stamp list and choose Create Stamp. And I get this dialog box here. And this dialog box allows me to customize the borders of the stamp. So I'm going to choose more of a square border that's 4 by 4, like so. And so I'm just going to hit OK. And here's what we get. We get this, what is actually a PDF file. And Bluebeam makes it easy to create stamps by making them into PDFs that you can modify in the same way that you can modify other PDFs. So we have here a PDF area that we can work with, and I can go into I can create text boxes in here. But what I want to do first of all is find a logo to work with, and I've got so I'm just going to click on the image button, and that gets me this dialog box where I can choose the orange blade logo to place into my stamp. So I'm going to choose this right here, and then I'll just click and drag to put the orange blade logo right in there. So this is really a scanned image that we're using. So I just dropped it in there. I'd also like to put my signature in here so that I have a scanned signature that I use. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that it's me and it has my approval. So I'm going to go back up to this image button and find my signature. And I'll just drop it in there like so. So there's my signature that I've just added to my stamp. Now we also want to talk about using dynamic text as well. So I'm going to go up to this button right here and choose text box. And I'm going to apply my text box right here on the page. And I'm just going to draw a border around it so it constrains it to that area. Now look what you get here when you apply a text box. Unlike applying a text box to an ordinary PDF, because this is a stamp, Bluebeam knows that you may want to have the option to apply dynamic text. So when we click on this pull-down menu, we get a number of different options. And the option that I want to choose is date. And then it gives me this little placeholder here. And I'm also wanting to add text or the timestamp to it as well. So I'm going to click my insertion point here and then add time. Now if I do this and leave it the way that it is when I apply my stamp, it's going to position the time and the date right next to each other. And I want to have a little bit of separation. So I'm going to add a couple spaces like so. Now I think that will work for me. Just for kicks, I'm actually going to add a rectangle to this so that we know where the border of this stamp is, like so. Okay. Now I'm going to also want to save this, and I want to give it a unique name, so I'll call it Orange Blade Approval. And then I'll hit save. And the default location for it to save into is the stamps folder. So I'll hit save. And now if I go to my stamp button, I have my Orange Blade Approval stamp right there. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this since it's already saved. And now back in my drawing, I'm going to apply that very same stamp, like so. So I'm just going to click and drag to give it the to constrain the borders of the application right to that seal area. And there we have it. We have our logo, a signature, as well as a time and date that it was applied. So that's stamps in a nutshell. It's really we're really just touching the surface of these three features, but we want to get through this area so we can get to the next one. But this is a nice way of handling this really simple application. Now, as I said before, we have a 35-page document here, and one of the things that we probably don't want to do is to go to each page and painstakingly apply each stamp to that same seal area on the title block. But we know that the title block is the same for every page, and that seal area is going to be on the same position on each page. So if we want to apply our seal to every single page in that same area, we can select the seal, right-click on it, and choose Apply to All Pages. And then that applies the stamp to every single page in the document. So that's a really handy way of dealing with these kinds of large documents. But with our large documents, we have a lot of other problems that come along with them. As I said, we're only dealing with a couple dozen pages here, but what if your document set is hundreds of pages? Well, that presents a couple of different problems. One is that they are very large and bulky. They could be hundreds of megabytes, even gigabytes in size if you have really large PDFs. And that makes them hard to deliver to multiple users. It also makes them hard to send to mostly if they have low bandwidth, if they're on the job site and they just want to look at one single page. If you have a 100-page document, they have to download the whole thing. And now we have our even bigger problems than that. What if we want to revise one of the pages but not the whole document? Are you going to make corrections to one page and then deliver the whole document again? And how do we keep the history of all those revisions? How do you make sure that everyone knows what the earlier revisions are, but also make it clear what the latest revisions are? And in the old days, your paper document sets would have to would simply have to have revision slip sheets put into the document sets, and that has the benefit of being able to be able to easily update one page without updating the whole document. But now you have a monster document set, and you might have something that looks a little bit like this. This is exactly what you'd have to deal with if you were working with large paper sets. So Bluebeam has an elegant electronic solution called sets, which allow you to break down your long document into easy-to-handle single pages that are treated as if they're one single document. Now, that's a little bit difficult to describe, so let me demonstrate by working through a set with you. Okay, so we have our 35-page document set here, but I'm going to close out of it because I've taken the liberty of breaking down 35 separate pages and naming them appropriately according to page name and revision number. So let me just close out of this, and I'm not going to save any of my changes. And I'm going to go over to my Sets tab. Now, I have it made visible here, but it may also be hidden for you. So if you don't see it right away, you can also go down to this upside-down orange arrow over here. This is the Tab Access menu. If you click on it, you can easily access your any of your tabs. And here's the Sets one. So I'm just going to choose that. And here's my Set panel. Now, this is empty right now because we don't have anything open. So we're going to create a new set by clicking on this button here on the far left. And we get this dialog box here. This is the focus of how to create a new set. Now, I'm going to add the individual one-page documents that I've broken down from the larger document by clicking on this Add button. And here in this folder, I've named each page appropriately. I've named it according to the plan name, or the document name in the title block. And I've also taken care to make sure that the revisions are also named appropriately. So I'm going to choose all of these pages because I want them all in one set. And I'm going to click on the first one, scroll down to the bottom of the list, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key, which selects all of them at once, and I'll hit the Open button. Now, it's not opening up all those documents. It's listing them. It's actually creating a list so that it can keep track of each one of these documents without having to open or combine them. Now, what we want to do at this point is we want to organize them appropriately. So I want these to be sorted by the name of the document, the file name. So I'll choose that under this pull-down menu here. I'll choose File Name. And I also want them to be sorted by their alphanumeric character name. Now, the other thing that I want to do is to make sure that the revisions are grouped with the originals or each previous revision. Now, if this were sorted alphanumerically, well, that would be one way of accomplishing it, but I want to make it very clear to any set user that the revisions are easily grouped together so that if you're just scrolling through these by eye, you'll be able to see immediately what the most current revision is and how it's grouped with the earlier ones. So to do that, we'll go over to the Advanced button. And I've used the naming convention of the letters REV, a space, and then a number to represent the revision number. So I'll just type that right here, REV, space, and then a pound sign represents the number. Now, the other thing that we want to do is to make sure that the program is looking for this revision in the file name, not the label of the page. Now, you can also organize your page labels to have the same kind of naming convention, but for this exercise, I'm using the file name. Okay, so now we also have several options here, which will show us how to group those revisions. I'm just going to choose the default here. What I want to do is to stack the files and the revisions in a single stack, which I'll show you in a second. And then each prior revision will have a red X through them so that we'll know that those are not the most current revision. All right, so that looks good to me. I'll hit the OK button. I've got everything else here set up properly. So I will hit the OK button again. And so there is our set. Now, as you can see over here in the document area, none of the files have been opened yet. So in reality, Bluebeam is just referencing these individual one-page PDFs and not grouping them together as a single PDF. It's just using these as reference pointers so that it knows where they are. As we scroll through this, it looks just like our 35-page document, but here's one difference. When we get to A201, we see that it is a stack and not a single page. What we have on top is revision 2, as we can see here. But if we click on this left arrow button, we can also scroll through the revisions. So I'll just click on this one, and here's revision 1. I'll click on this one here, and now we're down to the original. Now, if we want to view them as a document, I'll click on the top revision in the stack, and it opens the file, so it knows where to go to get that one-page file. And if we click on the Thumbnails tab over here, we can see that it is, in fact, a single document, not any part of a group document. And if I want to look at the revisions, I can scroll through the revision I want to look at. Let's say I want to look at the original file. I scroll through it and click on it, and now it opens that original file and closes the current revision. So that's the way the sets work. They it allows you to scroll through each of the pages without having to open them all at once, saving you memory, saving you bandwidth, saving you time, and making it a lot more convenient. Now, now, by the way, if we want to add a new revision to this, instead of having to insert that into the larger 35-page document, we can just have the architect or designer export that one single revision page, and then we can go back here to our Modify Set dialog box and add it with the Add button to our list of pages here in the set. And then because we've named it appropriately, we'll use that same naming convention. We'll call it Revision 3. Then it'll just get added to this stack over here. Now, nothing's changed. There aren't any changes that were made to any other document. We've simply added that one page to the set. And you can actually search through the sets as part of the search function, which, by the way, also starts with the letter S. If we go over to the search button here, one of our search options, if you see here on the right, one of the search options is current set. So we can actually do a search through the whole set instead of being limited to the current document. So that's a very good question. All right, so I can save this as an XML file, and if I do that, then I will actually have only this file to reference. So if I wanted to look at that set, I just have to double-click on that relatively small file. And then because it's an XML file, it's just referencing where all those other files are. Okay, so now I'm not going to actually save this file out though, because I'm just going to close out of it, because now we're presented with another challenge. For example, if we have lots of users accessing these sets, where are we going to put them? I mean, all of these set files are on my they're on my machine and my machine only. Now I'm going to close out of here, and now now if anyone else wants to access these files, how are they going to get to them? Well, Bluebeam has an answer for that, and it's something that they call Bluebeam Studio. Bluebeam has storage space reserved in the cloud, in which anyone who has a Revu and an internet connection can access it. I have earlier taken the set that I created and uploaded it to something that Bluebeam calls a studio project. I have it right here. I'm just going to open this up. I'll click on it, and that opens up this area in the cloud in which all these files are stored. So what we have now is one central location. So instead of having your set files on one computer, or even a file server within your company that no one else, let's say somebody on a job site, can access, we can put it on the internet and have it be in the cloud where anyone can use it. Now, I can open my set file over here, and it's going to now connect to the internet, and you can see it's actually downloading each of those files, so we have instant access to it. Well, it's not quite instant because it does need to download them, but it's because these files are a lot smaller than a larger file, we can actually access each of these files individually as well. But opening them as a set allows us to interact with them as if they were one document. But the best part about this is that multiple users can access them without requiring one machine to be available to everybody. So here we are. We have that same set that we were looking at earlier, but instead of having it live on my my personal computer, it's actually living out on the cloud. So we have these same same stack of revisions over here that we can access. So Bluebeam does, in fact, give you unlimited storage space. So just because you purchased, Bluebeam Revu, you can access that storage space as well. Now, we have another component of Bluebeam Studio that is very useful. It's something called Bluebeam Studio Sessions. Studio Sessions allows multiple users to interact with with an individual PDF without having to modify that that PDF. It allows multiple users to interact with it at the same time. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to take this same revision that we've been looking at here. I'm going to look at revision 2 right now, and I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to have it connect to a new session. And I'm going to call it Orange Blade Session. And it's going to open that file and make it available to multiple users. Now, if any of you have Bluebeam Revu right now, you can play along. I'm going to have my colleague John open or connect to that session as well as soon as the session is created. And it's doing a lot of stuff in the background right now. But it is it's still thinking about putting that session through. It looks like our screen is frozen right now, and and it looks like our session isn't being made available. So, oh, okay, there we go. So let me just open this session up here. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we're back. So I'm going to have my colleague John open up this session. The session ID is this 9-digit number right here, and with oh, actually, looks like I have to make this session available to other people. So I'm just going to go into the security settings right now, uncheck this restriction, and hit the OK button. Okay, and that should make it available to other users. So it looks like we've got Dale involved as well. Hi, Dale, and John's there as well. So we've got a couple people who have joined the session, and now I'm going to invite any participants here to just go ahead and add some markups to the page. And just go ahead and do that. Now, as you can see, as each user is adding a markup to the document, the record the record window is detailing the actions that are being added to this session. Now, the beauty of this is that that this record window takes care of the accountability problem. All the reviews and agreements and actions are tracked in sort of a legal proof document that can be stored along with the archive of the session as long as or once the session is complete. And as these markups are added to the session, we can see that only the original user of the markups can make changes to their the markups that they add, and that is vital for the accountability issue, because it means that let's say as a general contractor, the architect can't go in after the fact and change the markups that you made onto the plan. but it also serves as a way to navigate through the document itself. So you can click on each item in the record list. I'm going to scroll down here to one item, and I'll look at this one right here. When I click on it, it actually takes me, and it's going to take a bit of time to refresh the screen. There we go. It's going to navigate to that to the markup that was added to the document. And in addition to navigating to that markup, it also, and this is one of my favorite features about Studio, it also gives you the view and magnification that the original user was viewing at the time they created it. So it preserves not only the markup history, but also the context in which those markups were added. That is the visual context in which the original user was looking at. So, so it looks like we have a lot of users that have jumped into this project, to this session. What I'd like to do here is find one user who wants to play along here, and let's see, we've got. Let's see if we can look at. Looks like John's offline here, but I'm going to let me see if I can have B. Lehman. Brent, if you could do me a favor here and add some markups to the screen, I'm going to demonstrate some really interesting feature here. It's called following. If I scroll up to Brent's name, and it's taking a little bit of time for GoToMeeting to refresh the screen, but if you hover over the name of a particular user, you'll see a set of footsteps, an icon that looks like shoe prints. If you click on that, you'll be able to see someone else's actions, and not only their actions, but their own particular view. So Brent right now is viewing the screen at the full view. But if he zooms in to the document, we can also see how his magnification changes. Or if he adds a markup, we can see exactly where and how he's adding that markup. So it's a useful tool that allows a group of users to follow any individual user, and this is particularly useful in a war room scenario in which one leader wants to present a plan set to other users. So, of course, once again, we are only scratching the surface of this feature, and there is a lot to say, a lot more to say about Studio. So it does look like we're at the end of our time here. I'd like to open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask, John will forward them to me if there's any general interest here. I don't really see any questions that the webinar as a whole is looking at. So we'll just wait a couple minutes to see if anyone else wants to add a couple questions. We're close to the end of our time, so so we may not have a whole lot of questions. If you ask your questions in the question box, we can also get back to you with some answers. We'll keep track of anybody that asks questions in the question box, and but otherwise, we can get in touch with you at the after the webinar is over. In the meantime, I want to present our contact screen to you as we're wrapping up here at the end of our webinar. It looks like there's one question here. How do you log into server? I assume that means the Bluebeam Studio server. Well, that's one of the features that is sort of under the hood that we would need to talk to you directly about. Well, basically the answer is that that you would have to use the Bluebeam interface to get an account, generate an account with the Bluebeam Studio server, and if I can actually log out here. And if I wanted to create a new user, the first time you log into the system, you would click on this button, and it'll prompt you to create a new account. And that's available to you as a Bluebeam user. So once you do that, then you have all the features of Bluebeam Studio available to you. Sets there's a question in the Q&A asking if sets will work with ProjectWise. That's a very good question. I believe it will, because ProjectWise is just considered to be a different storage location. And because the XML files that Bluebeam uses to reference all those file locations for the files that it's adding to a set, it's just tracking them by the file location path. So as long as you have your ProjectWise Explorer running, you should be able to link to a ProjectWise location. Same's true for SharePoint, by the way, if you have your file stored on a SharePoint location. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up right now, and I know that there was a question asked about whether we are recording the presentation, and the answer is yes, we are. It will be made available to everyone that signed into the session. So we will be emailing you with a link with the entire video. We won't be sending you the video. We'll send you a link to the video. I think we're going to put it on YouTube. In the meantime, I want to mention that we are Orange Blade. These are the services that we offer. We offer guaranteed best prices for all Bluebeam software. So you can talk to us about getting volume discounts, education discounts. We have guaranteed best pricing. So call us for a quote, and we will be happy to give you the best price out there. If you are already purchasing from someone else, even Bluebeam Direct, we can talk to you about getting either more seats on your existing Bluebeam account, or getting your maintenance renewed if you have maintenance. We can also give you great prices on your Bluebeam premium maintenance. But we also do a web-based or live training. That's one of the things that we're ramping up as well. We kind of have a consultative approach to our training, and we like to customize it for your particular workflow, either giving you basic feature training or high-end enterprise training. We consult with you based on your needs. So if you have a group of people that you want to have trained, we'll go out to your location and train for that, or we'll do it over a web-based webinar. And we'll also consult with you on whether you need to have your, or how to deploy Bluebeam Revu to all of your enterprise users. And so that wraps it up for today. We will be presenting this as a series, so we'll have a lot of other things to talk about that's under the Bluebeam hood. So keep on the lookout for any announcements that we'll have about our webinars. But in the meantime, thanks for sitting in, and have a great day.
Thanks so much, everyone. If you have any additional questions, you can contact John and Joel at Orange Blade Consultants. They'll go ahead and send you a follow-up email with their contact information. Otherwise, have a great day, and thanks again.